Hello mga kapanga! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hey LMG, how are you all doing? Well, as you can see, I'm back here in Manila now and taking a temporary breather from the back-breaking coverages I did for Mr. International and Miss Grand International for the past 5 weeks in Thailand before I fly back there again for Miss Universe soon. I am just really grateful for all your viewership and support in covering these two pageants. So maraming salamat po for appreciating all my hard work and effort in giving you all the blow-by-blow ganaps of those two pageants, not just here on my YouTube account, but also across my social media platforms. So maraming salamat po talaga. I know some of you were still expecting me to go live a day after the finals in the official hotel of the girls, but I decided to use that time wisely to chill, hang out with some of the contestants as they check out minus my phone camera. So I packed my bags for my flight back to Manila later that evening. I also used this time to celebrate with ALV and his Miss Grand Philippines organization team during his launch treat out for the latter after achieving that historic back-to-back win for our country. And then after that, I went to Miss Universe Sri Lanka Lindsay White's meet and greet for some Filipino pressers afterwards before finally going to the airport to catch my flight back to Manila. So hectic talaga na schedule ko during the last day. Which is why I am coming out with this content, one last content about Miss Grand International to close this coverage that I did for them. Well, if you are a regular here in my channel, dapat expected yun na itong content na ito as I will try to share you all the lessons that I've learned from covering and watching the finals night of this pageant. And here are those lessons. First lesson, Emma's profession as a TV newscaster or celebrity status definitely help her win the crown. Yep, this is how I truly feel first and foremost. And this post is meant to extol Emma for all her positive virtues in this contest. I knew she had the potential to win back-to-back for our country, but I just still played safe, and managed my expectations so as not to set myself up for a potential disappointment. However, Emma proved me wrong by winning it all the way by being cool and smart with her strategy. She did not try to fit in, if you notice, all throughout the pageant. As soon as she landed Suvarnabhumi Airport, she came as her own, bringing her newscaster persona by immediately chatting with Miss Guyana upon arrival right away. Like she knew how to sell herself talaga with her cheery and kalog persona, which made me realize she was not going to mold herself in her predecessor CJ's shoes of being sexy and tahimik off stage, but unleashes her monster persona when dancing or performing on stage. So in Emma's case, she amped up her celebrity profile or her newscaster profession to the max the moment she set foot in Thailand, and she really worked it to her advantage. Nakita niyo naman, she was always engaging us with the media, with all her generous servings of OOTD pasabogs, engaging interactions with her fellow contestants, playing up to the locals and Thai media, while speaking in the vernacular. So she really came there as a celebrity, and now she is coming home as a queen. So her celebrity status gave her confidence as she knew how to do media interviews and impromptu hosting, which she did in Wahin. Diba nakita niyo nun? She peppered her statements with, little Thai phrases. And it was a complete different strategy from Catriona back in Miss Universe 2018. And who knew that giving away pulboron to her Thai fans would be reciprocated by mango sticky rice gifts that will go a long way for those people she encountered in the lobbies of the hotels along the way. So that was really a strategy worth noting, and I have to credit her improved persona in clinching the crown. She did not come there with the trappings of a diva. Like, she was very competitive, but still knew how to have fun, which eventually made 10 of her fellow contestants vote for her to win the competition during the closed-door interview. So, nakita niyo naman kasi every time that we would chance Emma in any event, either she was pulling a fellow contestant to her side to share the spotlight with her from the moment she set foot, in the airport with Miss Guyana, like I said earlier, to pulling out fellow Filipino contestants like Miss Jamaica or Miss New Zealand during photo ops in the water park fun activity in Wahim, to her incessant baklaan moments with Rumi Miss Thailand, or even bringing her newscaster persona to the interview by continuously updating us about the aftermath of the earthquake that happened in Davao Oriental, 'di ba? At the same time. So, alam niyo yun, nahuhuli niya talaga yung kiliti natin eh. So, all the more that she became more relatable to us, not just to us, but also to the international audience. So for sure, the staff members of the organization also noticed this. And this newscaster persona was so evident in the way she answered her finals Q&A about scammers, about the topic of scammers. Emma made use of the strong dynamics of her modulated voice to inform and share her opinion while creating a story in building her answer towards that powerful "I hope no one no longer deceives" to survive ending line. Now, let's go to my second lesson, which is Emma had a complete strategy from CJ. Ito talaga yung isa sa mga realizations ko din. I brushed up on this a little on my first lesson, so allow me to expound on this here, as this is also worth highlighting. Emma, I reckon, did not feel pressured on her second back-to-back international pageant assignment by just being herself and not imitating her predecessor CJ's plan last year. Whereas nakita nyo naman, CJ was very sexy and maangas with her pasarela on stage, Emma's pasarela was more fun to watch. When it came to gown choices, naalala nyo, CJ went the sexy route with her yellow gown during prelims and went ethereal for her maktumang gown during the finals. In Emma's case, she did something different, which I find very brave and commendable, which is to go experimental on her prelims gown and grand on finals night. But what elevated her strategy here is how Emma showcased her true self or personality on stage. When everyone was trying to be grand or bongga or pabonggahan with their moves and theatrics on stage, Emma shone with her personality more as she incorporated it with her pasarela moves on stage. And aaminin ko, it could have backfired on Emma since hindi natin alam what the MNGI organization was looking for in its new winner. So kudos as well to ALV for choosing Emma during the nationals, because it could have been easier on ALV's part, now that I realize it, to crown a CJ prototype or someone who has at least the same strength of CJ. So it is within this note that I would like to highlight how Emma came as her own persona in this pageant and not copying her predecessor's strategy to lessen the odds of winning that back-to-back win for our country. And now we go to my third lesson, which is Emma took a risk with the color of her gown during the finals night. Because let's face it, wearing orange is not in the playbook of MGI gowns in the history of this pageant. Usually, nakikita natin, di ba, we see metallics or green gowns being favored, while colors of sunset orange, like what Emma wore, or a rusty orange or yellow orange, is something that we don't normally associate with this pageant system. So it was a really risky move for Emma, or tricky on the part of Emma, to wear this kind of color during the finals night. I say tricky because I noticed the lighting of the stage last weekend was warm lights, wherein it highlighted or complemented Emma's orange gown, which made the whole look so cohesive, whereas had the stage lighting been cool-toned or harsh, it would have contrasted to the color of Emma's gown. So what lesson can we learn from here? Sometimes you just have to take risks or deviate from the standard or prototype, provided you can carry your gown with confidence or aplomb. It really pays off talaga in the end. And again, I keep saying this, that this is worth highlighting because a girl's gown choice is really crucial in making it to top 5. In Emma's case, she knew she had to come out with something visually impacting. Her orange gown was definitely a standout among a sea of white or silver gowns during that round. So kudos to her team and her designer, Rian Fernandez, for collaborating with a color that was totally unexpected. And now we go to my fourth lesson, which is content creation is key to winning Miss Grand International after all. We all know naman kasi how Papa Nawat loves going live on his TikTok account, posts numerous content and updates on his socials regularly, and that's why he also expects the same thing to his queens as well. And I got to think of this lesson during our ambush interview with Mommy Teresa after the final show, wherein she disclosed she started learning more about Emma after the latter kept on tagging her on her social media posts right after winning Miss Grand Philippines 2 months ago. And it worked. And it really worked because it piqued the curiosity of one key officer right away, even before the competition started. And Emma Tiglao still continued serving a lot of content on her own while she was still in the middle of her competition. Di ba, sinundan niyo siya ba sa Instagram account niya? Glossy photos, real-time edits of the places and activities that she went to, and all of her fellow contestants went or did it. It really did not escape the attention of the organizers. And this being masigasig or masipag quality of Emma in churning out content will definitely please Papa Nawat all the more during her reign, because Papa Nawat could definitely expect Emma to think of her own pasabogs, concepts, and brand of content for herself without necessarily having to rely on what the organization will tell her to do so. And this is so important kasi considering how Papa Nawat has been so busy preparing and organizing the forthcoming Miss Universe pageant in Thailand, happening in just a week. So, ngayong nakoronahan na si Emma, for sure, si Emma na ang magkukusang gumawa ng sarili niyang content for Papa Nawat and the organization, which will prove to be a valuable asset for the organization. And this is also what I have to say with Miss Grand Paraguay Cecilia Romero's strategy in getting a top 22 call during the finals night. More than her beauty, kung napansin nyo, and if you observe her strategy closely all throughout the pageant, she relentlessly engaged her followers throughout everything she did in Thailand on her social media accounts, thereby allowing her to amass 5 million views, a staggering 5 million views all throughout. So it was no longer a surprise that she placed fourth overall in the Country of the Year online voting, top 10 during the pre-arrival dinner, and top 20 during the swimsuit competition in Wahin. So the engagement was really relentless. So her followers rewarded her a placement in every activity that there was an online voting mechanic. So this is really something that future MGI contestants should think about. That don't just be grand with your onstage performances, but be grander in engaging your followers on social media. Remember, Papa Nawat loves a queen with a huge social media following to cater to one of his 5 Bs, which is the business aspect of the competition. And those online votings entailed shelling out money in the process. So Miss Paraguay was so clever to use this strategy from a non-powerhouse country. So, well done, Miss Paraguay. And now we go to my fifth lesson. And this is so important. You have to learn Boss Nawat's body language in determining the winner of his pageant. Because it's one of those things that I really learned the hard way during my MGI coverage in Thailand. Since there was no selection committee who will determine his winner, everything just boils down to his display of attitude reflected on his body language in determining the winner. And this could have never been more highlighted during the closed-door interview. When he was being too critical of Emma's low engagement on some of her social media posts, or asking too much questions on a certain contestant, like how famous she was in our country, then yun pala, we should not take it the wrong way, as this means the contestant is already within his radar to win the competition. So every time Papa Nawat asks a very negative question, dapat pala we shouldn't take it negatively, but more like for Papa Nawat to get to know the girl better, or at least knows how a contestant can handle rough questions as a potential spokesperson for the organization. And Emma did it with aplomb because she had the mental alertness to play along with Papa Nawat's ribbings by being cool and humble about it. And you all notice that too, diba? That are you famous question is very similar to the line of questioning that Rachel Gupta got from Nawat, or even that cooking show question CJ got from him as well last year. So this is one lesson that I really learned the hard way, that we should not read too much on Papa Nawat's line of questioning negatively, but incorporate how his mind works, why he asked that question instead. So if a candidate gets to be asked two simple questions or only has a very short interview time with the judges, well, yung pala, kabaliktaran ang ibig sabihin nun. That means he's not that interested about that contestant. But when a contestant gets grilled by being asked so many uncomfortable questions, then he is probably looking at that contestant as a potential contender for the crown. Diba? Pansin niyo talaga yung galawan niyang ito. Ngayon ko lang talaga siya na-realize kasi first time ko full-blown mag-cover ng MGI from start to finish. And now we go to my second to my last lesson. And this is, Papa Nawat really strives for perfection or is a perfectionist. And I don't know if you will agree with me on this, but this is one characteristic I have noticed about Boss Nawat in conducting himself all throughout the pageant. He strives for perfection, whether as a businessman or an organizer of the pageant. Because if you notice, he wants all his activities to be perfectly executed all the time, whether it's the timing, I mean how the show starts or ends at the exact same time. Pag sinabing 7 p.m., 7 p.m. talaga magsa-start, whether it's or the production design of his events all the way down to his camera angles or even the way he sees his eventual winner. So that's why we are always in awe of the production aspect of his shows. That he really makes sure everything is so perfect for the telecast. And probably this is the same way how he determines it's his top 22. So let me try to relate it to his top 22 girls for this occasion. And as much as we are all heartbroken for Miss Peru for not making it to the first cup, I feel her being in crutches or bandage all throughout the pageant proved to be a liability on her part compared to all the contestants who were definitely performing during the show. And because aminin ko, I thought she should at least get it to the first cut, at the very least, given how we have seen her get up and try her best to perform. But no way, she still did not get a top 22 call. Probably the sight of her walking in rubber shoes with a knee bandage still did not make her win brownie points from the organization, even if it was still an accident and nobody wanted it to happen. So I just really feel sad for Miss Peru. But it is what it is. And for Papa Nawat, it still is about perfection, or at least performing based on merit. That no matter how strong your girl is, kung hindi ka ganun kagaling at hindi yung suporta mo at the same time from your fans, it still wouldn't matter. Yep, no matter how strong you are officially, but if you can't perform by doing a weak pasarela, it still really wouldn't matter. But on the flip side, if you happen to take Papa Nawat's angelic beauty like, Miss Belgium, then you would definitely get a joke from him that he also wants you to join Miss Universe someday. So overall, it's really about Papa Nawat's preference, that you have to catch him or the organization's attention through perfection to win this game. Finally, we go to my last lesson, which is Papa Nawat's money is all about for a good cause, which is the elevation of his production values year in and out. I know majority of us look at the popular voting mechanics as a bit too extreme, but the money that he probably amasses from all these numerous online voting schemes is just being put to his production values of his show year in and out. Hence, the operative word here is probably, because I do not have the numeric data about this claim, but as I try to connect the dots of everything that I've seen from Papa Nawat since day one of this year's MGI, he really has to get a source of money for his production values that he employs for his shows year in and out. And according to Mama Teresa during our ambush interview with her after the finals night, this year's edition pala is Papa Nawat's most expensive production to date, to the tune of 17 million Thai baht. And now it really makes sense why he employs so much online voting schemes for his pageant, so as for him to recoup his investment for his pageant. And it's making a lot of and it's making a lot of his stockholders very happy. Miss Colombia, for one, is extremely jumping out of joy for making it to top 11, even if she missed the first cut. Then tayo namang mga viewers back home, appreciating the quality of his live stream broadcast on YouTube. Tapos his title holders like Vina being so happy then, being given commissions from the numerous online selling that they do of Papa Nawat's numerous online merchandise on TikTok. So nababawi din pala ni Vina yung mga gastos niya, and she admitted it in one interview. So you see, his pageant is really alive and kicking, as he was able to make profit in a very good way for him to enjoy the level of grand success that he is now enjoying. So from now on, before we cajole Papa Nawat of how online selling makes his pageant very unglamorous, you might realize that without it, Miss Grand wouldn't be the Miss Grand International that it is right now after 13 years. And how these excess funds is helping other pageants as well. So there you go, guys. Those are my 7 biggest takeaways or lessons that I have learned from watching and covering MGI this year. I actually guys, I actually have more pa to say, but I think these are the biggest lessons I have learned so far, as it really changed my mindset about how I view Papa Nawat and his team right now. So with this, in this note, I would like to thank the whole organization of MGI for the access that I was given all throughout the pageant. I have nothing but good memories for all of them in this pageant. Marami pong salamat, Boss Nawat.